Hey everyone, this is Founders365 with me, Steven Haggerty. This is episode 41, and I'm joined by Sophie Jewry, the founder of Media 8 and Ladies That Plan. How are you doing today, Sophie?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. So, two businesses. How's that going?
Yeah, they're linked. So the Media 8 has been around since 2003. That was my first business to start up doing graphic design and print. And that has kind of just stayed there in the background. I've dabbled with a few little things along the way. And then the diary planners and things that I do through Ladies That Plan is all quite linked, because obviously I design and print and publish things within that too. So they are quite linked. I've done radically different businesses in the past alongside the Media 8 business, which has always been there. And I hope I'm learning from previous things, including stuff that is actually intertwined rather than something just bright and shiny and different.
Exactly. So let's talk about the Ladies That Plan, because this is a really interesting concept that I think is. I haven't seen many other people do it, which is always good. Where did the idea come from, and how has that been developed over time?
The creation story.
The creation story. Everyone sit in. Get your seatbelts ready.
Yeah.
Here comes the creation story.
Well, as I say, so I've been in design and print a long time, and back in 2011 I did my NLP and I started looking more at goal setting and how I was doing things, and I was fiddling about with worksheets and stuff that I could use to try and prioritize my to-do list, because as it has the way of doing, they get away from you. And I fiddled about for a bit, and then I got frustrated with not being able to find the planner that was just right for me. So I thought, well, I'll just design one, and I want it to be full color, and I want it to have all these to-do list sections and blah. So I put that together and I put it out on Facebook and said, hey, everybody, I'm going to be just printing myself a copy of this, or a couple of copies. Does anybody want one? And over 100 people went, yeah, I'd like one. So I thought, maybe I could do something more with this. So that's kind of continued from there. So that was the Ultimate Diary Planner back in, it was 2015 was the first time we did it. And that then led me, because obviously I had the diary planner there, the next year, so for the 2016 one, the audience grew in terms of the number of people that bought it. So suddenly we're in the kind of, I think it was about 1,000 in the second.
Wow, that's a big jump.
Yeah. So I wanted to be able to help them better understand the planner. So I started my little Ladies That Plan Facebook group. I just thought it'd be a fun, quirky, tongue-in-cheek little group, because most of the people that were buying it were women, because it was brightly coloured and it had cakes on the front cover. And most chaps I knew didn't fancy having that as their main planner.
Fair enough.
And it's kind of grown from there, really, of having the community and getting feedback of what people wanted. And then I did a planner for Dan Meredith.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of doing the bespoke planners for other people. And it's all just grown steadily from there, in terms of me learning more about productivity and time management and structure and what people use and what helps and what doesn't help and all of that sort of stuff. So it's grown organically over time.
Yeah. Obvious question, but why do you think planners are so popular? Why do people love having a planner?
They have gone boom, haven't they?
Yeah. My girlfriend follows Mrs. Hinch on Instagram.
Okay.
She just loves cleaning her house, and now she's got massive followers. And she brought out a planner, like a Hinch list, and it's such good quality as well. It's like a proper hardback A3 book. I was so impressed with it. But I see so many people bringing out their own personalized planners. Why is that? Why do you think?
I think it kind of exploded in that there was books, obviously, that people had, and then people wanted to do something a little bit more. And I think people love stationery. One of the things I say in my little welcome video in my Facebook group is, this is the sort of group for the people who go into a stationery store and their heart flutters, and then they pick up a book and they stroke the front cover and then open it up and have a little sniff of the pages, and in many cases don't ever use it, but it's that, like, it's my precious.
We've all been there. We've all done it.
Yeah, it's that, I don't know what it is. There's something very tangible about them, but in terms of for the people who are creating them, I always use the it's not really a metaphor, but with a book, the whole thing is that you are in somebody's private space with them for the length of time that it takes them to read the book. So you might be in the bath with them or in their bed. You're in they've welcomed you into their space and you've become part of it, and they love your book, and then they take aspects of that and it potentially changes their life. With a journal or a planner, you just take that one next step further. So you're not just in their private space for a few hours that it takes to read the book. You're there consistently every day. You're on their bedside table all the time. You're referred back to. You're carried around in a handbag. You become a precious item or commodity that you have in your house. So for the business people who have them, it just gives them a way to really deepen the connection that they have with their audience. And obviously there's the increased credibility and visibility and all of that jazz that comes with it as well.
Exactly. And for you, when you put this out and those 100 people sort of commented and wanted to buy this product, at that point, did you realize where it would lead, or did you just go, oh no, 100 people want to buy it, cool, I'll put it, I'll sell it?
That.
Easy, done.
Oh, it's just 100. I'll just do 100, and then next year I'll see if anybody wants any more. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll just put a little bit more effort in to do a few more. And then we looked at go on Amazon, fulfilled by Amazon as well. So I've had an adventure learning the ropes with the love-hate relationship that you can have with Amazon when you're selling on there. Exactly.
The question I'm keen to find out is, even though your two businesses are obviously intertwined and very closely linked, how do you manage the different brands? Because they're very different brands and very different messages, aren't they?
Yeah, to be honest, the design and print company, I've got clients on there that I've had from day one. So I don't really do an awful lot to promote that. I just pop a little logo. This is a recent logo design we did or whatever on Facebook. But generally speaking, it's referral work, because it's customers that I've had that have been steady for a long time. And then, every now and then you get you need to speak to this person if they're starting up or whatever. I did launch with the Queen of Brand. So I was focusing, I really decided when we moved into my other half runs the shooting grounds. We live there. And when we moved in, I needed to drop many things, because we just had to throw energy into getting this off the ground and launching that brand and all of that. So that made me reevaluate, and I wanted to focus more on developing branding rather than your general design and print stuff. And it kind of shifted a bit then. So in terms of managing the two, it is a bit of a juggle. But as I say, a good chunk of the design work that I do with the planners is sitting in front of my computer doing the design. So there's definitely an element of the grunt work that just needs to be done, whichever side of the business I'm working in.
And you've built a little outsourced team, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
If any of them are watching that, they're going to love that.
Yes, especially with social media stuff. And just in fact, I was chatting to a lady the other day who was looking to start doing some self-employed work, looking for jobs out there. And I said, well, the girls on my team have a lovely time, because mainly they just create pretty things on social media or trawl the internet for nice quotes. Or Dee, who works for me, Jen's worked for me for quite a few years. She's lovely. She helps me do graphics and bits and pieces for memes and basically runs my Instagram account. And Dee helps me in my Facebook group. She does the welcome messages. She orders mugs for my audience. We do little competitions where they can win mugs with their name on that match their planners. And she sends out birthday cakes once a month to people. And
she's on
welcomes people into the Facebook group. So she gets all the nice jobs. I have all the admin jobs.
How did you I feel like you've done that the wrong way round.
Yeah.
You're the one that's meant to be sending the cakes out and having the fun bit. something's gone drastically wrong here, Sophie. Come on.
I get to enjoy them when they get them though, and they say, "Oh, it's a surprise cake. I'm really happy."
You get the credit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
None of the hard work. Well, some of the hard work, but all the credit. A side note as well. You now own a shooting range, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So my other half runs that. He's had a gun shop for millions of years, and we upgraded and got the shooting ground to go with it. So we now have clay shooting and archery and air guns and stuff. It's a big playground, really. 52 acres of playground. Yeah.
This is funny. For you, when you're working with your clients, what is like the most rewarding thing for you? What's that thing that at the end of the day, you know, you have your cup of tea in the evening or your gin and tonic, and it's like, oh, that was a great day with a client.
I really enjoy doing the planner sessions. So when I do a bespoke planner, we have a day together. We normally takes about 6 hours where we sit down, we take it from a very initial idea and right through. By the end, we've got it all kind of sketched out. Those are always really exciting because you're in the joy stages. You haven't had to actually do any of the work yet. It's all the excitement and the ideas and this vision in your head of what it's going to look like at the end. So they're always exciting. With the design and print, obviously, it's even 16, 17 years in, it's still exciting getting packages with finished printed items in. It never ever gets old, even with just a pack of business cards. It's funny. It's just something about, feels like a present every time you open one, even if it's just a boring flyer. I like that. And then in terms of the community kind of spirit side of things, it's always when you get the nice emails, isn't it? Someone saying that you've changed my life in some way, or you really inspired me, or the thing that you said or the thing that you did really helped me in some way. And you know, they're always lovely to receive. And I'm very lucky that I do have a really nice vibe in terms of my audience. I see people talking about haters and trolls and all that sort of stuff, and I don't get a lot of that.
No.
And I'm really grateful for that, because mostly people are just really sweet.
How do you think you've built that? How do you think you've attracted the nice people, the sweet people?
I don't know. I guess it's the same on my Facebook feed, my news feed. I try and steer away from politics because I don't really have a massive amount of interest in it, and I really dislike negativity. So I try and I'm fine with being direct and real, but at the same time, I don't see the point in just having all that negative in your life when you just don't need it, because life is too short. There's enough rubbish going on without adding to it by creating extra drama. And I have caught myself at times where I've gone to write a post and then thought, do I actually need to send this? Because if I do put it out there, all it's really going to get is either people saying, oh, I'm so sorry, are you okay? Which I didn't necessarily want, or you're creating some sort of drama. So I do tend to think those posts through. And I mean, you be you, people out there, there's a lot of people out there that just put, you know, whatever they put out, and that's all part of it. And I'm sure it'll come at some point. And there's always the odd one that disagrees with what you say. But generally speaking, I tend to nip it in the bud. So even if people get a bit differing views, it tends to not escalate. It tends to get very quickly to okay, let's agree to disagree and move on.
Exactly. Like you said, life's too short to just be bickering online. I don't see the point of it. You know, keyboard warring and all that stuff. No, just don't do it, people. If you're listening, don't do it. Don't be a knob. Just be nice. Just be kind.
Walk away from the drama.
Just walk away. That's it. But staying on the topic of, you know, your following, your tribe, whatever, what do you call them? Do you have a special name for them? My
ladies.
Your ladies, right?
And then all ladies, there's a few honorary gents in there as well. And then obviously I've got a productivity tribe, which is based around, it's kind of the next level in terms of the support with that. And that is my tribe. My little tribe.
How important do you think that those tribe, the ladies, are to your business?
Massively important, hugely important in lots of different ways. Community gives us a way to, much as it takes a lot of effort, and sometimes you do sit there and think, oh my God, do I have to have another conversation today? Or, you know, there's that pressure there that you've got to manage it. But there's something magic about creating a community. And of course, because it's yours, you're in control to a certain extent of how it feels and the sort of vibe you've got going in there. So you want to create a space where you enjoy being, and then other people enjoy being there too. And it then becomes a real joy. And I think there's, so like we were saying a second ago, there's a lot of stuff happening in the world every day. Life tends to throw us a curveball. And when you've got that supportive space, even though it's my job really to support them, they help me in so many ways from a support perspective and being my cheerleaders. And then from a more business side of things, they're so useful to help you hone your products, learn really interesting things, because what often happens is you'll think something's a really good idea and then you test it out on them, and then it comes back and you decide it either is okay but needs some work, or maybe it's amazing, but most of the time, you know, you probably haven't got it just right. And the feedback that they give you, and because you're a community, they're more honest and they give you more of their time in terms of really giving you good constructive feedback. And that really helps you then obviously hone your offering and niche better, and deliver a better service and a better product to them. So we're all helping each other along the way.
You do make it sound like it's a really lovely space to be in. It's like it sounds like a warm hug, and you get.
I mean, we went to lunch the other week, and there was 18 of us there. And we walked in and I said, well, I've got no idea how all of you people are here, but it's all good. Let's see if we can make it vaguely professional for at least the first part of the meeting. And everybody's laughing and cackling and going, yeah, well, it might be professional to start with. And then it was just really good fun. So I think I have definitely I do like to do the kind of more professional stuff in terms of meetings, networking and stuff. I have done some bigger events where I've taken it much more seriously, but at the same time, I just think we should be having fun quite a lot of the time. And I think we can.
Exactly. Do you think people fear that? Do you think people fear being themselves in business?
Yes, because don't we all fear being ourselves in life in general? Because if we are our true selves and we show up, then we are at risk of not being liked. And that's pretty scary because we're all people pleasers. Generally speaking, we're all people pleasers. And I think even the ones that resist being a people pleaser are basically being people pleasers in the opposite sense, because they're kind of trying to create the truth that you have in your head. If you think other people don't like you, then you act in a way that creates the animosity that you're trying to avoid, because you're trying to prove that it's true. So I think there's definitely a fear out there to show up and try and be yourself. And I think the only way through that is to just keep trying to be that person, if that is the right fit for you. It's not always, is it? When you think of actors and stuff, some brands have a certain personality, and I think it's our choice to decide what that personality is. And if we have a persona online that is a little bit of a exaggerated version of ourselves, then that's totally okay. Maybe it's a quieter version of ourselves. It's going to be a version of ourselves in some way, shape or form. I think the space that we're in, you and I and some of the people watching, in terms of being solo entrepreneurs, etc., we are in a very fortunate space that we have the freedom to play around a little bit more and have some fun. I think once you start getting into the realms of corporate and it all being a little bit more serious, and there are some businesses where it is more difficult to have a lot of fun, but it's still there. It's still possible to be there. I know most funeral directors I know have got a wicked sense of humor and are really nice and very jolly, but also incredibly professional when it matters. So I think it's just getting balance between that. As long as you're doing a good job, I think you can basically be whoever you want to be.
Exactly. I think but life is always about balance, whether that's business or in your personal life or when you're showing up online. I think, like you said, even if you can be as real to yourself as possible online, but you're always going to be exaggerating some element of it, I believe. Even if you're, you know, even if you had friends around in your house, you know, you're still going to be exaggerating certain things, as opposed to if you were sat there on your own watching TV. All these different elements come into it.
I think we have different versions of us, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
So I've got a hippie version of me that loves to go and sit around campfires and play drums and sing songs and do hippie things.
Yeah.
Howl at the moon. But there's also the kind of business lady side of me, which really enjoys having a good old conversation about marketing. Yeah. And there is a whole host of people that I can't talk to about that because they would just want to. That's the most boring.
Imagine how annoying someone would be if they were 100% of the time one of those things.
I know, yeah. And it's fun, isn't it? Being able to be different people with different groups of friends.
Yeah, 100%. So talk to me about what you've got coming up this year, because I see you've got a red X behind you. Is that happening this year?
It is. It's a bit scary. Yeah, it's a bit scary.
So for those that aren't on video, there's a lovely wooden X which symbolizes the famous TEDx. Tell me, how did this happen? What you're doing it in April, right?
I know. It's a bit scary, I have to say.
It's only less than 2 months away. All I'm saying.
Well, tell me about it. The deadline for the first draft is on the 20th, so I've got 10 days to get that nailed. And I'm still sketching out, you know, how does this link to this? And am I actually just getting across one idea here and all that jazz? So I've known it's been in Norwich. I went to the first one. It's the 5th year this year.
Wow.
And it's one of the best TEDx's in the UK. Most professionally organized one in terms of the quality of the videos that they produce and all that sort of stuff. So we're really lucky to have that on our doorstep. And the emails, you know, last 2 years, you think, could I? Because you do the whole, I'm going to be a speaker, I'm going to be a coach, I'm going to do all these things, I'm going to do the speaking circuit and da la la la. And then you think, I just don't think I've got anything that's really good enough for a TED talk.
A little bit of imposter syndrome coming in.
Yeah, I know nothing. And then I thought, wow, what the heck? If you don't try, you don't do. They got over 200 applications. They got 30 or 29 speakers. So it was one of the 5% that got through.
Wow.
So that's quite exciting. Terrifying. There's going to be about 450 people there on the day.
Amazing.
But last year, they had over 90,000 tune in on the day.
Wow. Watching it live sort of thing.
Yeah. So no pressure.
Yeah. How many speakers are there normally?
29 speakers. Janie Lee Grace is going to be comparing it for the day.
Incredible. How do you mentally prepare yourself for events like that?
Well, this is a bit different from the norm. Going back many years, 2004, I set up a BNI, Business Network International. Yeah. In deepest, darkest Norfolk, there was not much networking going on. There was 2-3 BNI in the whole of Norfolk at that point in 2003. And there was no other networking anywhere near where I was out on the Norfolk coast. So I thought, well, why not? I'll just start a group. So that was back in 2004. And that was a big, huge step out of my comfort zone because I was not very confident at the time in terms of speaking in front of other people. And I think the 60 seconds and the speaking at networking events really help you with that. So that was kind of the core. That was about 7 years. And then I left that and did various different things. So started doing more speaking since doing the NLP in 2011, decided to do a bit more. So I've had a bit of practice, but as was brilliantly quoted, I've got a book about TED Talks, how to do good TED Talks. And he was saying that the shorter the time that you have to prepare for, the longer it takes to prepare for it, because it's all about being succinct, which I probably haven't been in this podcast. So for the bigger events that I've done, where I know I've got 40 minutes or half an hour, or even if I'm asked to go to a networking event, I normally just put a few bullet points in and I have a rough idea of the time. I keep an eye on the clock and then I just spiel stuff out until I realize I'm running out of time, and then I speed up and finish up. So for this, it's totally different. It's 9 minutes. It's basically scripted. Yeah. So you have to have the talk approved. before obviously the event, and you have to do it exactly on the dot, 9 minutes or within a few seconds either side. So it's going to be a bit tricky. But my mum, who's an actress, has already said, I'm going to be giving you hints and tips, and I'm not going to hold anything back. So don't take it to heart, because I'm just trying to be good for you, because I love you. So I'm going to be I'm going to be channeling my inner mum to get on the stage and hopefully do a decent job.
No, you'll smash it. I'm sure you will. How did it feel when that email came through that you were picked?
It's a combination of terror and excitement. It's a bit like just before you get on a roller coaster ride. That's probably the best.
You know this is going to be great, but it may make you feel sick.
Yeah, and I haven't quite reached the absolute terror stage. So at the moment, I'm just queuing to get on. I'm in the doors. I'm halfway down the queue, so it's going to be difficult to get out of it. But I've still got a little way to go. And I think just before I go on the stage, it's going to be sitting in the front seat of the roller coaster, sitting there thinking, why am I doing this?
Amazing. So that's in April. What other amazing things? I'm sure you've got a few up your sleeve that you're doing this year.
I've tried to cut back a bit, actually, because I have a tendency to go crazy and start doing all sorts of different things. So I've got ladies' lunches every month, little local networking. I'm doing a 5-day productivity challenge next week, in a week's time. And I'll do one of those later in the year. That's just a fun little snippet of just getting stuff done and a bit of accountability. And I do a planning workshop where we plan out the whole of next year.
Yeah,
that happens in November. That's a really fun workshop to do because it covers so much stuff in one day, and everybody's always exhausted at the end of it, but I do really enjoy doing them. And other than that, just the general stuff. It's the working on bespoke planners for clients. It's the managing the productivity tribe as we go through the year for that, because there's always content to be created and general support to be delivered and things. So yeah, nothing outrageous this year.
I mean, other than the TED Talk.
Other than the TED Talk, yeah.
Other than the small thing about being watched by 90,000 people. You know, just that little thing.
Yeah, so we'll see. But you never know what's around the corner. You never know where a conversation is going to lead, and you never know what opportunities might pop up. So it's not that I'm opposed to outside opportunities. I'm just trying to practice what I preach and focus on doing work and doing some good work. And that's what this year is really about.
Fantastic. Let's talk about what you're launching next week. Not launching. Is it the first time you're running it or not?
I've done it in various forms in the past. I've done what's called blasts, where it's similar sort of structure, but they've been paid things, which have either been a week or 2 weeks or a 4-week thing. But because I've got the tribe, that's kind of an ongoing thing. And the 5-day challenge is a little taster of what the tribe is like, but also it's just a useful standalone thing for anybody if they just want to have a little bit of a boost in terms of getting a bit of motivation back. And there's some planning worksheets and stuff that people can use, and kind of my method of how you can get from overwhelm and brain spaghetti through to a clear plan for a day, basically, or a week.
Brain spaghetti. What are some of the common traits that you see when people join something like that and they've got that brain spaghetti? What's going on in their world that is causing not being productive, I guess, or unproductivity, if that's a word?
It's all the simple things, actually. And it's little things like time tracking, time management, all the stuff that we know about, but we don't really necessarily admit to, and prioritizing tasks and setting focused time, using a timer or Pomodoro technique, something like that, to help us kind of get through these things. It's all the little things. Usually boundaries is another big one. So it's I'm not being clear on what I can and can't do in terms of other people and how they're utilizing my time. I'm not being clear to myself on how I'm going to use my time, and I'm also not setting myself boundaries and enforcing them in terms of I'm not going to work past 8 p.m. or I'm not going to do this or I'm going to do that or whatever it is. prioritizing is a biggie. People don't prioritize things, and as we know, but with the whole thing with the rock and sand and wine and whatever, the wine tasks are always the nice ones, the little ones that, oh, I've got that really big thing to do, but what I'm going to do is fiddle about with all these little things that don't need to be done at all, and then stress because I've left the big thing till last and I haven't got enough time and I've got a deadline and it's all a nightmare. And life has stuff, you know, people are busy. So a lot of it comes, again, a kind of a combination of, are you managing the time and are you managing your boundaries? Because sometimes we've actually just got too much stuff and we need to be a bit honest with ourselves and let some things go.
And it's okay to let things go. You know, I think people try and hold on to it so much, don't they?
And no being a full sentence as well. That was a big thing for me a few years ago, was when people said, could you do this or whatever? And I would reply with, I'm so sorry, I can't do it because the cat's got
trying to justify yourself
that, and the universe has done whatever, blah, blah, blah. So now I have to still check in with myself, but it's a, no, I'm sorry, I can't do it. No, I'm sorry, I can't make it. Full stop, end, walk, move on.
Yeah. Don't overthink the no.
Yeah, we don't need to elaborate it, because when you think about someone getting back to you, you don't really need to know what's going on. You just need to know whether they're going to be there or not.
Exactly. And quite frankly, most time we don't really care what they're doing when they're not here, you know.
And what you find is once you stop doing it, you see other people doing it much more, and it flags up in your head. You're like, oh man, I used to do this, and I'm reading this exactly thinking, I don't give a monkey's what your dad's, father's, aunties just got for a birthday, and the fact that you do this or that or the other. Just say I can't make it.
That's amazing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing your year plan out and your TEDx talk in April. My final question to you is, and I think you're going to nail this one, and I'll be really specific. What are 3 tips that you can give to people to make them more productive?
Ooh. Okay, so being more productive. 1, get everything out of your head first, because this needs space to be able to be creative and to be able to see the wood for the trees. If we've got it full of stuff, then we're going to get in a pickle. So get everything out of your head first, just there. Then once you've got it all out of your head, start prioritizing things. Really look at it. And it's the 3 Ds, the do, delete, and delegate. What are these do I really need to do? What could I delegate? Even if I'm not going to delegate them yet, but they're potential things I could delegate in the future. And what could I just get rid of? Or what do I not need to think about right now? Get rid of all the deletes, the ones that you don't need to be doing now. Get them out of the way, and then focus on the do's and the delegates and how you're going to do them, and then work through those. And then plan out your time, but really look at how you're using your time, and use time tracking if you can, because it's a combination of getting clear on how you're really using your time. One of the things that we did at the beginning of the tribe was to do a whole month of time tracking, and I said to them, I'd really like you to track a whole week of everything, but at the minimum do a day where you literally time, using Toggle or one of the other free time tracking apps, what you're doing every minute of your day. And so many were just resistant. I'm not going to do it because I know it's going to flag up all this time I have. So get real about what time you've got. Allow a big chunk of time for unexpected and for faffing and for the stuff that doesn't quite go well, which leaves you a very small amount of time to actually get the things done that are really important. And that's where prioritizing the tasks come in, because in that small chunk of time you've got, you want to get those really important tasks done, so that if you don't get through that list, you can still feel at the end of the day that you're in control and it's not got away from you. So clear all the clutter, prioritize your tasks, and then, you know, properly look at your time and how you're using it, and use it cleverly.
Boom. I knew you would nail that question, and you certainly did. Sophie, thank you so much for being on. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, join your 5-day challenge, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can find me on Facebook. I'm everywhere on there. And the 5-day challenge obviously is next week, but there'll be another one later in the year. So that's at sophiejewry.com /5-day challenge. And yeah, Ladies That Plan, you can find me ladiesthatplan.com, and sophiejewry.com are probably the best places to kind of find links to most of the information that they might be looking for. Thank you very much.
There we go. Sophie, thank you so much for coming on. You have been guest number 41 in Founders365. I really cannot wait to see your TEDx talk. I wish you the best of luck with it. Thank you everyone for listening, for watching, and for tuning in. See you next time.